Who blackmails someone?
Apparently all the Yakuza. I don't know. I mean, yeah, all these people know each other too, so it's kind of like, yeah, they could be all working together.
Yeah, it's just one big group.
Yeah. But, okay, so back to Nishimoto. He was used to handling potassium cyanide from previously working for a chemical manufacturer.
Obviously, he was involved. Yeah, you have to know what you're doing.
Yeah. So I feel like he was definitely involved. Yeah, he also knew B. That guy.
Of course
the other guy. So they all know each other. So I think it could have been. Oh, also, okay. Remember the station wagon that escaped by like driving recklessly or whatever through the alleys? So he had been a member of the driving club in college, and he held an advanced license, so he could have easily shaken off police.
Oh, and all that like tricky driving.
Yeah, and like he was living in Kyoto a couple years before this, because that's when he moved to and asked for help from Miyazaki. So like he knew Kyoto really well, and he was known to drive recklessly, like driving over like 100 kilometers per hour or more, which is 60 miles per hour, down these like narrow back streets. So he was like known to be a reckless driver and knew these back alleys very well.
Yeah.
So he could have been the station wagon driver.
I wish if they just wore body cams. I know body cams weren't a thing back then, but
yeah, now I feel like now it'd be so much harder to get away with a crime.
Right. Especially something like this.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I guess because they did have a little bit of a description for the station wagon driver, and I don't know what Nishimoto looks like. I couldn't find him, so I don't know if he matches the description or not, but he could have definitely been some kind of getaway driver. Okay, but another person Miyazaki said in the book that he thought maybe it could have been was a former deputy prime minister and ex-director of the NPA, who was involved in a case of police corruption connected to gambling machines in the Kansai area, which involves Osaka, Kyoto, that area.
Oh.
So, like, there's also police corruption, so could have been police officers, or, like, police and Yakuza could be pretty friendly with one another if they're both involved in, like, the gambling areas.
Right.
So they could have worked together.
And who's to say that some of these Glico people might not also be involved in gambling?
Yeah. Former employees, too, or something. Too.
Right.
Right. That's what I'm saying, like, it literally could be...
anyone.
Almost anyone. Yeah. But also, no one talks about this, but remember in 1974, a bomb was planted at Mitsubishi by the anti-Japanese terrorism group. So, like, why couldn't it be them?
Right.
But, like, also I feel like they would take credit.
Yeah.
Because this was only 10 years before. So why would they not strike again?
I'm surprised they didn't just take credit for it to take credit for it. Don't terrorists do that too?
I feel like they do. Maybe they disbanded after 10 years. I couldn't really find too much about them either. But
yeah.
Yeah. That's most of it for actual people, like named suspects.
Okay.
But there is like one other thing, like Miyazaki said after his interrogation, which he said lasted like 3 hours. But towards the end of it...
That's not long enough.
I know. Yeah. And he said towards the end of it, they were chatting more casually. So I feel like they thought, like, we can't get this guy, or maybe he's not it, or something.
Right.
But he asked, like, the police officers what they thought, and I'm not sure why they would tell him, but the older officer said, like, he thought it was something about the share prices. So he said the share prices of the companies targeted by the group fall sharply as the affair unfolds, then rises again after the group declares an end to its action. So the culprits make their profits by short selling or buying back at a lower price. So, could be that.
And he's trying to get his family out of debt.
Yeah, right. Literally anyone could do this.
I hate short selling. I don't think short selling should be allowed.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Because, yeah, they're saying, like, as soon as the group declares a ceasefire, it goes back up. So, like, they could definitely plan that.
Right.
But also, like, they did say you'd be able to see these transactions happen. So...
Right, you definitely know. Or there, well, unless he's doing it under someone else's, like, I guess you would see someone buying and selling.
You'd see someone, right. So they're thinking if it is that, then it'd have to be through foreign buyers where they maybe can't see.
Or a bunch of different people.
What's going on. Right. Which kind of lends itself to the shady organization that could be across countries in Asia. But, I don't know, seems a little... I feel like that would be easily traceable.
Yeah.
But I guess some places do that. I don't know. I had more. A little bit more. But not
Keep
really
going.
Directly with the case. But, okay, so 1985, like, in the middle of the case, like, a lot of things were happening in the Kansai area. So, first, like, the sketch of the Fox-Eyed Man's released, which, like, everyone then is involved in. And also, there was a Yamaichi war between the Yamaguchi and the Ichiwa. And that was, like, really bloody. I talked a little bit about that before, but I feel like they could be involved. Because, like, so this is, like, hitmen are out constantly, like, looking for targets. It's, like, super public. And...
Scary.
And, like, okay, so first, it started because... Okay, wait, let me back up. So they sent, like, that letter, the Monster with 21 Faces sent the letter saying, like, tormenting Morinaga was to save face as a man. And then, like, that same night that the letter was received by media, Takenaka, who is, like, the fourth Oyabun, who is, like, the boss's son, kind of, is the Yamaguchi Gumi. Like, he was killed by a hitman from Ichiwakai, which kicked off the war. So, like, the same day that they say it's to save face starts this.
Maybe it's to distract from what
This
they're
war.
doing. Like, this is
Right.
all just keep the police busy with this while we do our...
Yeah, if the police are using so many resources, then they can, like, hash it out without so much police intervention.
Right.
Yeah, because this started, so this was before, a little bit before, like, this guy was killed, but, like, he was elected as the head of the Yamaguchi Gumi, and then people didn't agree with that, so they split themselves off and formed the Ichiwakai. So then that was, like, prior to this stuff. So I feel like, and then they, like, kill the guy that was elected, and that starts the war.
Right.
So, like, the Monster with 21 Faces could be involved with that to cause distraction.
Right. I mean, it's definitely distracting.
Yeah. But this, I guess this war between the Yakuza were, like, in the headlines in the area.
Oh. Not distracting enough.
So, like, newspapers were keeping up with it. Right. But, like, still police, like, I don't know how many police would be. I feel like police would kind of let the Yakuza do their thing.
Right. Well, they're dealing with the thing that affects... Like, because that's just them killing each other. Why do the cops care when someone is threatening, like...
Children.
Children and, like, honorable companies. You know what I mean? Like, legitimate businesses.
Right. Yeah. So I could see that. But yeah, the newspapers would keep tallies of who's winning the war between the two, which I thought was weird. But, like, they would have titles like Yamaguchi Gumi determined to exterminate Ichiwakai.
I just think it's funny because, like, really, how do you keep points in a war?
Right. I don't know.
How many of them aren't dead yet? Like,
yeah, it said towards the bottom of the front page each day with the war or whatever, it would have a box that had a tally of deaths, serious injuries, and light injuries for both sides.
oh no.
So I was keeping track of which one was ahead. So
What
that's
if-
like crazy that this is happening at the same time as this
I
other
know.
case. Yeah, and a lot of other stuff happened during the same time too. Like, so we talked about how baseball is huge. The Hanshin Tigers that are part of the Kansai area were in the running for Japan's professional baseball crown, which was like the first time ever they were in the running. So I could see other baseball groups not being happy about that. But at the same time that they're in for that, there was a crash of a Japan Airliners jet that was carrying the president of the Hanshin Tigers baseball team. So he ends up dying.
This is all actually a sports scandal.
I don't know. It just seemed interesting that it happened at the same time.
Yeah.
Also, like during this year too, I couldn't find the date. So I don't know if it was after like this Glico Morinaga case was finished, I guess not resolved or anything, but there was a live telecast of a fatal stabbing of Chairman Nagano of Toyota Trading. Not Toyota, but Toyota.
Oh. I didn't know there was a difference. As if I've ever heard of Toyota. But I always see stickers on cars that say Toyota, and it's the Toyota symbol with Yoda ears on it.
Oh. Well, that's just...
it's just obviously not the same thing.
Right. What did they make? I feel like they make clothing or something. I don't know, but there's a lot of hate on companies during this year. But yeah, I don't know. They just can never figure it out. But to wrap up a little bit, well, from his book, like his opinion, the prime suspect
who was obviously involved, allegedly,
Miyazaki, I feel like he could have definitely been involved, but just the fact that he was not the fox-eyed man, that even though he looks the same, like, I don't know. Because then who's that?
His brother, cousin, family member.
Right, I guess that's true. Yeah, just put glasses. And also the hair's permed. Can't you perm any hair?
Yes.
So you could make your hair look like that.
Right.
So yeah. But his opinion is that it was definitely professionals. Probably took years to plan out the execution and possible Yakuza involvement. But he doesn't think it was about the money, but the demands for money were a distraction of some kind. And maybe stock manipulation, but again, like, to not be detected, it'd have to go through like foreign buyers or like many different buyers. So that's a lot to organize. But he thinks the police failed. He's anti-police, so...
Yes.
But he thinks they failed because they relied mostly on public information, which, like, in small, like, local communities, maybe is fine, and that's how they're able to solve most of their crimes.
Right.
But when it's a national level, it's just not...
And people get weird about big
Yeah.
cases, I feel like.
Right. Like, if it's your tiny community, but if it's, like, the whole nation, I don't know, then you're not gonna... Or maybe just less likely to even see anything.
Right. People aren't paying... They're not as nosy, I feel like.
Yeah. But, like, he said they went to the public security police for help, which he says is, like, typical when local police, like, run out of ideas because they just need... But I feel like we do that, too. Like, you call in the FBI or whatever.
Right.
So, but, yeah, he just thinks the police do well dealing with, like, prescribed problems in a small area because, like, once the 1955 political system was enacted, they really didn't change their methods since then to now. This case. So, like, for 30 years, they were kind of doing the same old. They knew the kind of crimes that they'd come up with, but this was just so different that they weren't prepared for it. So that's why they failed.
I mean, that's, like, with almost the opposite of, like, what happens here when there's a crime in a small town. The local police don't know how to handle it, but the big ones do. I feel like it's, like, almost the opposite.
Yeah, I feel like it is. Well, no, I feel like that's kind of the same because